Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and what I got for you today is a review of the new Kaideng K70F FPV 5.8 gigahertz FPV flyer. Today we're at the Nato Magnolia Mine. I just up in Indian Wells Canyon near Indian, California. I just did a really neat flight of the Me drone here, and that should be a really neat flight. I hope it came out, all the video came out well. But we're going to repeat that flight or do something similar with the K70F. Now, what is the K70F and how does it compare to the previous K70Cs? Well, it also has altitude hold like the previous K70Cs. It also has a 2 megapixel camera with a movable gimbal like the K70Cs. It uses the same airframe, although it's different colored. This one appears to be has a Spiderman motif to it, so I think it's available in Spiderman color if you want. I don't know if it comes in if the F version comes in the original yellow and black Bumblebee version of the K70, but it certainly does come in Spiderman. But one thing that is different about this than the K70Cs is, you see we now have a 5.8 gigahertz antenna. There's a transmitter embedded within the camera, so we can fly actual 5.8 gigahertz FPV flight with this camera. That makes it pretty darn cool. If it works as advertised, combining that with altitude hold, this should be a great flyer. Let's go over the transmitter. It comes with a 5.8 gigahertz FPV receiver. So you don't need to buy a separate receiver, although this also will work with Boscam goggles. I believe it's Boscam Band E Channel 8, 5945 megahertz, I believe. Has an on-off switch here. It has the power port here. It has a built-in LiPo battery for it to power this transmitter. One thing about these type of transmitters, the battery, you'll see it when I put the screen on here, but the battery warning for this screen is inaccurate. Even if you have a fully charged battery, it's always showing it as low, so just ignore that, folks. Let's go over the transmitter itself. The transmitter is the same as the K70 H model with altitude hold. We have photo and video here, which is activated here. I guess long press for video, short press for photo. This is one key return, which I don't plan to use today. This is high and low for rates. If you want to go faster, you press that button. If you want to go stay slow, you press that button. This is for automatic startup and shutdown and landing. You press it once and it will start the motors and bring them to idle. Then you can take off. Keep in mind there is no other way to start those motors than with this button. If you go down and out like this, like with normal altitude hold quadcopters, it won't work. You have to press this button and that will bring the motors to idle and then you can take off. Notice that the throttle is center spring position to indicate that you do actually have an altitude hold controller here. Other buttons on this, you can turn the LED lights off here. You can enter into headless mode by pressing this button here. And you can turn the LED lights off to save battery power by pressing this button here. So that's the controller in a nutshell. Let's go for a flight of this thing. I'm going to put my sunshade on here and then we'll restart this video here shortly. Okay, I have the sunshade on here, my homemade sunshade, so that we can record the screen here. And actually I can see the screen better here in the sunlight because it's pretty darn strong today. But let's do a takeoff here. The first thing we do is, for this particular quadcopter, we turn on the quadcopter first with its on-off button and listen to how it beeps. It beeps until you bind the quadcopter with the transmitter. So we're turning the transmitter on and the quadcopter is now bound. Now I wanted to show you, look at the camera on that. If you want to point it downward, you just press this trim button here and that points the camera downward. If you want to point the camera upward, you pull up on this trim button here and it brings it back up. Okay, let's turn on the FPV signal. See if we indeed have FPV. And we do have FPV reception. Let's turn on the camera by holding the button, this button here, downward. And I'm going to look in here to make sure that it's recording. And we have numbers, red numbers increasing in the lower left corner, so we know we do our recording. Now let's take off by pressing this button here. Actually, that just starts the motors by pressing this button here. I'm sorry. But now we'll take off by giving it more throttle. And let's see how its altitude hold works. And when I let go of the throttle, yeah, it seems to be working. Let's give it some forward punch, or forward push, not punch. And let's give it turn a little bit. Yeah, we'll fly down that way. And then come back up my way. Wow, it's actually pretty darn fast in beginner's rate. I'm going to turn the LEDs off to save power here. Where's that LED switch? Lights are off. And we'll go up a bit higher. Right into the sun. We'll fly around the mining camp. The altitude hold, I'm letting go of the throttle on this. We're flying strictly with altitude hold. It seems to be maintaining the throttle. Coming around. Coming back down again. FPV reception looks good. I'm looking in the FPV. It actually is a nice flyer. Let's come down low. Lower, reducing throttle. Going over that area there. Comes down nice. So if you want to come down fast, it does. Other altitude hold flyers usually don't come down as fast as this one does, but this one does. Okay, I want to bring it in closer so you can see it. Adjusting the throttle a bit. I'm not touching the throttle. Let's see how the altitude hold works. There's a little breeze coming up my back here. I'm going to point it into that breeze. Well, it seems to be flying well. Okay, we'll go one more time down the road. And then come back up toward me again. It is fast in beginner's rate. If it's this fast in beginner's rate, let's go to a higher rate. This is intermediate. Yeah, intermediate seems to be similar to the beginners. So you could actually probably do FPV racing with this. Let's go to high rate. Yeah, it seems to be the same. So beginners, intermediate. Oh no. This is definitely faster. Oh, I take that back. It is definitely fast. Okay, I want to do a quick landing here because I want to make sure I got all the video that I just took. Actually, I'll turn off the camera for a second here. And then turn it back on again. And I want to make sure I got all the video that I recorded there. And the lights aren't blinking yet, so we don't have low power. Okay, with that in mind, then let's go up high. Real quick. A high flight around the camp. Oh, it flies nice. It climbs like a bat. Out of you-know-where. And now we'll come back down again. It climbs up there real fast. And it comes down. Will it come down just as nice? Yes, it does. It comes down real nice. I'm not pulling the stick all the way down, folks. Remember, don't do that. I'm not even sure what it's going to do if I keep the sticks pulled all the way down. But it's about 70% down is what I use for coming down. But yeah, it's a nice flyer. And we'll bring it back in. Now, I don't want to fly this until the battery dies on it. because I don't want it landing out here. Oh, it's blinking already, so there. I got warning. That's what I wanted to know. The lights are blinking. Let's show you that. I don't know if you can see it in the sun, but I can. The lights are blinking, so it's time to land it. How do you turn this off? Hold the throttle down. Okay. I thought all you had to do was press that button to turn that off. It did not turn off as fast as I thought it would. Hopefully it's not damaged. It doesn't seem to be damaged. It does come with prop guards, folks, for those of you out there. Good morning, Quadcopter 101. And I wasn't quite satisfied with that first flight that I did with the K70F up in the mining camp. So we are today at Spangler Hills off-highway vehicle staging area, and we're going to fly it here. What I wanted to do was to do some high-speed flying with this quadcopter, and just wasn't enough room up there at the Spangler Hills, or at the mining camp. So turning on the FPV transmitter and adjusting its antenna, turning on the quadcopter. I'm going to include this video as an addendum to the other video. And turning on the transmitter, binding it to the quadcopter, checking the camera is moving up and down, and I'm going to high speed, super high speed, and starting the camera, the video camera, going down the button for 2 seconds, starting the motors, going up into the air, and going forward. I want to see how fast this thing can go. That's why we're here. Lots of room to do such. Let's go up a little bit higher. And that's its speed, folks. It can move. I gotta pull the stick back, set it up higher again. Pitch forward. Okay, now let's play with the camera a bit now. I'm satisfied it can move. Go ahead to low rate. Now, this has that pitchable camera. I am going to pitch it downward. I'm flying FPV, folks, while it's doing this. Climbing, 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 climbing. Sending it back overhead again. So all in all, you know, it's interesting quadcopter. I hope I'm showing up, but hey, one thing though, what did I want to talk about? The lens. Okay, raising the camera back up again. This has a wide-angled lens for FPV flying. Now, since it's a wide-angled lens, let's go up a little higher. Wide-angled lens, you get distortion and you get blurriness because of that. You lose resolution when you go to with these, especially with a little 2 megapixel camera, going to this wide-angle lens. And you'll notice that the video's somewhat fuzzy, as you can probably see. So, again, the wide-angle lens on this is to aid with FPV flying, so that you can have a much wider view to aid with your FPV flying. But in regards to, you know, clarity of the picture, no, you lose some of that with the wide-angled lens. And I lost some of the FPV reception too. My camera here, I obviously didn't charge my FPV receiver fully. So I'm bringing this down a little closer so we can see it up close. Hi there. How do you like my tie-dye shirt for today? Okay, altitude hold is on. Bring it a little closer and bring it down a bit. Okay, and the lights are starting to flash. We're going to fly it. Alright, I'm going to turn the camera off here. Make sure I got the video so far that I got so far. And let's just bring it in close so you can see this. Again, this is the K70F. Altitude hold bird. I am just flying this with pitch and roll inputs so you can see it. Oh no, nifty quadcopter. Nifty looking too. If you like Spiderman. I think there's also a blue Captain America version. Let's do a punch out. Ain't no punch out on this. I just gave it throttle. It didn't do anything. So we're close to the battery's close to its flight time. So I'm going to be landing it here shortly. Let's land it right now. Where's that automatic land button? Launch land. Let's press it. Bring it a little closer. And that's its automatic landing. Kerplop. So it does like to tilt on landing, so you might want to include the prop guards. I didn't include it on mine. I didn't feel like installing them. But yeah, you might want to include the prop guards with it because it does like to tilt, like you saw there on landings. So that's the second flight of the K70F. It's actually pretty nice quadcopter. Hope you enjoyed this flight. It's Quadcopter 101, signing out.